At another store, rule number 2, blame the other guy. We were looking for owner John Kim, because here they charged us $98 for parts they never installed in our VCR. One of his employees defended the boss.
If he's made the mistake, he's an honest person.
But when Kim finally appeared, they went in the back for a quick strategy session.
And the parts hadn't been put in the set. So I don't know how you're going to tell them any different.
One way to tell us different was to blame someone else, like the store's former manager, who they said had just been fired.
This man here that wrote this ticket up is fired. You paid cash, right?
Yeah.
No check.
Yeah.
Okay, how I know that this man didn't put this in his pocket?
But we did know. Our hidden camera clearly showed that the man who took our money wasn't some phantom manager, but the owner himself.
We get exchange keyboard from California, we get new keyboard from California.
Then there was rule number 3. If it ain't broke, still fix it. We confronted the man who charged us $168 for a new computer keyboard we never got.
You replaced the keyboard?
Yes.
No, you didn't.
What do you mean we didn't?
You didn't replace the keyboard, or in fact, you just sold us our own keyboard back.
No, what we did, we replaced the board on the keyboard.
The service representative and his boss, Fred Marvatsian, insisted they had replaced our keyboard and promised to show us the paperwork as proof. But we showed them some proof of our own.
Before we brought it in, we had marked the undercarriage of this keyboard with an ultraviolet ink. I want to show you something. You see those marks there?
Yes.
Those marks are the marks that we put on this keyboard before we brought it in. You sold us our own keyboard back for $168.
I was not aware of this. The company was not aware of this.
It may have taken ultraviolet ink and network TV cameras, but by the end of the day, the store invited us back for a once-in-a-lifetime moment most consumers only dream of. The manager said his service representative had been unable to produce that promised paperwork.
So what has happened to him?
He's not working with us anymore. He's not.
The manager gave us a refund check for $168, and he insisted this kind of thing had never happened before.
That's one incident that could be somebody's mistake, one-man mistakes.
Just one incident?
Yes, I have not had this incident before. This is the first time.
You've seen some of the ways repairmen work their scams in the backroom workshops. In part 2, we'll show you how they do it when your back is turned right in your own kitchen.
Still ahead.
If you always thought your home is your castle, think again. For many repairmen, your home is in fact a proverbial pot of gold, a myriad of opportunities to make some easy money. Yes, the experts warn, the repairman who comes to your door may be coming to steal your money. Here's more from Chief Correspondent Chris Wallace.
Based on my experience and my investigations, I would say that 50% of the repair industry would be dishonest.
You mean that you have a 1 in 2 chance of
being fraudulently, intentionally ripped off.
Investigator Rick Beasler should know. For the past 10 years, the state attorney's office in Jacksonville, Florida, has cracked down on repair fraud. The results, a sight to cheer any consumer. Hundreds of crooked repairmen led away in handcuffs, arrested and convicted.
How do you explain the fact that these repairmen seem so confident that they can get away with almost anything?
Because the average consumer has no idea. It's just like when a doctor tells you you're sick, you believe him.
The cheating not only goes on in the back room of the repair shop, it can also happen right under your nose, in your own home. We rented this house in McLean, Virginia, outside Washington, and set it up as a kind of lie detector test for repairmen. On the refrigerator, we unplugged the fan motor at the back of the freezer. On the dishwasher, we unplugged the electric door switch. Sam Burge, a senior service technician for Frigidaire, said both problems were easy fixes.
Minimum service charge, $44.95. That would cover me 15 minutes inside the home.
We not only altered the appliances, we also made some adjustments in the kitchen. We set up this camera, hidden behind a special mirror in that cabinet. Now we could leave the repairmen alone and still see what they do when they think no one's around. We set up some additional cameras and microphones to make sure we had all the angles. Then producer Kathleen Pierce, playing the frustrated landlord, went to the yellow pages, looking for help. The first repairman who showed up to fix the dishwasher, Robert Love, did just what he should have. He reconnected the plug for a minimum charge.
I got it running with wire. This here.
Walter No was our next repairman. He too had our dishwasher working within minutes. But there was one difference. Walter said he'd had to replace the door switch, not just reconnect it. And he even left the old switch behind. Even though we'd been watching all along, we had no idea we'd just been conned until we reviewed the videotape. Here, you see Walter spotting the problem and plugging the loose wire back in. But then he slipped out to his truck and picked up something, here in his left hand. It was an old faulty door switch. He put it on the counter, which is exactly where it stayed until he gave it to our producer. We'd just seen one of the most common scams in the repair business, and it wasn't the last time. Consider the case of Jun Villafuerte, a repairman who showed up to fix our refrigerator. Remember, the only problem is a loose plug on the fan motor. Jun told us almost immediately that the motor had to be replaced at a cost of $133.
We have to replace this. It's not functioning.
The motor's not functioning.
He went to his truck and got a new motor, and within a few minutes installed it in our refrigerator. Or had he? Watch again. Here he is removing our motor. Notice the green wire trailing off it. Now he goes to his truck and comes back with a supposedly new motor, but he never installs it. All he does is fix our old motor and put it back in the refrigerator. There's the same green wire. That other motor he brought in from the truck is just a prop. Since we were watching all this from upstairs as it happened, we decided to throw him a curve.
You still have the old motor?
Yeah.
Now, Jun had a problem because he told us he'd replaced a broken motor. As soon as our producer was out of sight, Jun took out some pliers and made sure his prop motor was broken. No doubt about it, this motor was now dead.
If it lasts for 3-5 years, you're lucky, you know.
It was the same story with the next repairman, Ben Agani. He too pretended to replace the motor at a cost of $95.
Do you have the old motor? Yes. I have it.
But this time, when we asked for the old part, Ben had a problem. He hadn't brought in an extra one. So, while our producer went upstairs to get her purse, he rushed out to his truck and rummaged and came back with a prop. He planted it in the trash, which is where he later retrieved it to give to our producer.
Okay, so this is the old one.
Yeah, this is the old.
That was in there.
Yes.
Have all of these guys read the same textbook? It seems like they all have basically the same scams going.
You'd be surprised. It's a very close-knit industry, and they do discuss among themselves ways to commit fraud. Some of the suspects that we arrested in our investigation have surfaced in other parts of the country.
We decided it was time to get some explanations. So we had our producer call some of our repairmen back to the house, saying our appliances still weren't working. Remember Jun Villafuerte? He's the one who got that prop motor out of his truck and later destroyed the evidence.
Hi, I'm Chris Wallace of ABC News.
Oh, yeah.
How are you, sir?
Fine. I've been watching you.
Oh, well, good. We've been watching you, too, as a matter of fact.
We told June we knew what he'd done, that he'd never installed the new motor we'd paid $133 for.
I never did?
No, you never did.
No.
You never replaced the motor.
I did replace that.
You did?
Uh-huh.
Well, let me show you something. Stay right there. We had a camera here, and they were shooting you while you were doing the work here.
Mm-hmm.
And you never replaced the motor.
It was then that June taught us another trick of the repair trade. No matter what the evidence, no matter how conclusive the proof, deny everything. We showed our undercover tape of his work. He insisted we had a bad angle on the action.
You did not see me inside.
But we had a camera on that, too. And what about his frantic effort to disable that prop motor?
Now, look what you do. You start cutting pieces off it.
No, not really.
June insisted he'd done that for safety reasons. And finally, what about the ultraviolet marks we'd put on our motor, which proved he'd put back the old one?
There are X marks. And you know where we found this motor? Right back in the freezer.
I don't know about that, but the thing is, I replaced your motor.
Were you surprised at the level of larceny here?